Hello and welcome to the Empire of the Cop podcast. We've got a special one today. We've got Aage Fjørtoft on with us again. Second time you've come to visit us. Thank you very much for talking to us, although I think we all wish it was under better circumstances because you're talking about what's happened with Jude Bellingham. So I'll just go straight in. It's a very simple question. What's happened? Where are we today?
Well, I would like to then to tell the background because Dortmund have been desperately trying to get Jude Bellingham to stay in Dortmund, which is fair enough. They want to catch Dortmund as we speak. They're 2 points behind. They've got massive ambitions, of course, in the Champions League as well. We tend to forget that because they're kind of an academy for a lot of the big clubs, including Bayern in Munich. And then the last couple of weeks, so last week, I understood that they're more or less given up on that Dortmund, that they think he will go. And then I was told from a very reliable source in Germany. Why is it reliable? Because I have to define that. Because I am not a transfer journalist. I'm not a Fabrizio Romano, not even a junior high school pupil to Fabrizio Romano. But I know a lot of people, and they told me that Liverpool had made an offer. What I then realized when I put that out on a tweet, all the credible, or I will call it the journalists who have that phone number to some people at Liverpool, they said they haven't made an offer. So I was thinking a lot of that, and I spoke to my guy, and I tried to do the analysis and how that will be. And it's also interesting to see, Pete, that they went from being very, very interested in Jude Bellingham to cool off the interest. I mean, that is not very normal. And also the same journalist was also writing that Jude Bellingham loved the idea of play for Liverpool. We've seen other Liverpool players lobbying him during the World Cup. Steven Gerrard more or less leaving his wife to marry Jude Bellingham and all those kind of things. So what I think would have happened, which is my analysis on this, is that Liverpool has talked to Dortmund. They've said how much they could be willing to pay for him. But we do know that Dortmund are unbelievable ambitious in terms of how much they want for him. Remember, they missed Erling Haaland because he had a clause in his contract. So Manchester City, in terms of transfer fee, got a very cheap player in this market. And by Jude Bellingham, it seems that they want to have everything back. In Germany now, I've just been 3 days in Germany now, and they're talking about 130 million euro. And you can imagine the situation in a club like Liverpool. You're not sure about what's happening on the ownership, how much money Jurgen Klopp will have available. That is too much money. So I think that is stand now, and I would just add that. But I still think that is stand now because it's a selling club can want as much money they want, but at the end of the day, it will be the market who will decide where it goes, and it's also where the player wants to go. And I think that what people have said where he wants to go, I think that is not very reliable because I can't understand that the player will say that I want to go when you've got 4 or 5 great alternatives. Why should he say where he wants to go?
Yeah. Well, I'd say you don't want to narrow your options down, do you? Especially when you do Bellingham. I don't think, as you say, I don't think he's got a choice of 1 or 2, has he? So obviously we've seen your tweets, and there's been a lot of spread around on the Liverpool Twitter looking at what you've said, and I think from what you've said there and what you've said online, it just seems that Liverpool haven't been able to offer a bid that's large enough. Do you know or have an idea of what we have been able to offer and what figure we did put up front?
No, and not 100%. I've tried to follow everybody to try to see where, I mean, what fans need to know, what I need to know, what everybody need to know. There are some journalists always that know more because this is also about owning the truth. And you will always see that, like when Bayern Munich missed out on Erling Haaland, they said no, we didn't even negotiate for him. And then this week, and I knew that all the time, but I could never write it because I knew it, and I had promised not to say it. And this week it went out that he was nearly getting more money at Bayern Munich than he did at Manchester City, believe it or not. So I think that I won't speculate on that. I mean, the only thing that I will say, based on what I know about football, and I can see the money Liverpool have spent on a Gakpo or a Nunez, I don't think they will go into a kind of hope or wish to get that kind of player, and I think they will offer and will be more willing to pay for Nunez. I think that will be somehow in the region, but that is only speculations.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's fine. And I think you did kind of mention before, so is it 130 million euros? Is that how much you think Jude Bellingham will be sold for this summer?
Well, what he will be sold for, but I think that is the amount that Dortmund wants to have. And why? Yeah, because you've seen Chelsea, the way they have spent money, they will feel that their player is not worse than the Argentinian they have in their midfield, Argentina, although one of them is a world champion. But still, I think that we'll see it in that region. Where they will end up, I don't know, because if you got to be realistic, now I think Manchester City has been very quiet. That's how they do their business. And to be fair to Liverpool, they've been quiet as well. But still, 2 + 2 is 4. Jurgen Klopp being a good friend of Dortmund, being a good friend of the CEO Watzke at Dortmund, you just feel that was a match in heaven. But we know that, and I'm using that from Erling Haaland. We know that we should not overestimate the influence of a manager, because I think then, like Erling Haaland, when he went, I'm using his example because I know that best, and it came from the same club. And when he went to Salzburg, the manager was gone in half a year. He went to Dortmund, there was another coach going around, so they can't overdo that. But still, when you see, I always use the metaphor of Formula One. There need to be seats available, and I mean, but my God, there are some seats available in midfield of Liverpool. So I think that's why everybody think that Jude Bellingham will be the perfect fit.
Yeah, unfortunately, a few too many seats, but yeah, we won't go into that now. That's fine. So also we've seen a lot of other things what Bellingham could do in the future if it's not Liverpool, whatever. But do you think Dortmund could manage to tie him down for another year, or are they convinced they are going to be the academy for the rest of Europe, as you said before?
There was even a suggestion I read somewhere by people who think they had a good idea around that before the Real Madrid-Chelsea game that they will get Jude Bellingham and park him at Dortmund for 1 year. But I think that is not a good solution, because we know when your mind is gone, when your heart is gone, it's hard to keep your body there. So I think that the usual suspects will be there with Manchester City and Real Madrid. I understand, of course, Manchester United will always have ambitions to get the best players in the world. But I've said it again, this is just open. I use the word, the roulette is open, and there's a lot of things that can happen. I got a feeling that the player wants to go back to England. Why do I think so? Is because I think that the Real Madrid is seen by young players as the kind of that is the last resort. Then you are at Real Madrid. What do you do after Real Madrid? And I think that's why the Premier League is the place to be at the moment. And also talking about seats available, well, the drivers at Real Madrid is Toni Kroos and Modric. So not many seats available. And in all respect to the Liverpool midfielders that I've worked with and I've rated very much so, but they're not the future of Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, okay, you keep kicking me while we're down here. Yeah, thanks.
You wanted an unplugged analysis.
No, that's fine. So I'll tell you what, if I'm going to try and remain positive here, we saw when Liverpool signed Virgil van Dijk, we had a statement from Liverpool saying there's no chance this deal's happening, we're out of it. When we got Alisson, before that, we were out of the running for Alisson. Same with Thiago, same with Keita, there's been lots of stuff. Could this all be a smokescreen, and on the first day of the transfer window, we see a big shock and Bellingham still comes to Liverpool, or is that just me being hopeful?
I don't think anybody who try now to speculate where he'll be going, and I don't believe the players or the people saying that he won't go to Liverpool. I don't believe that, because I don't think we're so far. You can understand that. For Team Bellingham, they will see where they want to go, and it's so easy. I mean, it's so easy to find all the positive things that go into Liverpool. Talking about the atmosphere, and we have to talk about the manager. We have to talk about the manager that also makes football player better, and that is sometimes hard to forget when you're struggling and on a table. That that has been a part of the magic of Jurgen Klopp, that he's making players better, and he hasn't forgotten that. And it's also, I see sometimes with Manchester United and especially Liverpool, the traditional clubs, they say they're not spending money, but Liverpool have spent money. They had used money, but they found that the department of the strikers was more important than the midfield. I think that Edwards or a Ward or a Klopp, they would kind of regret that, because I think that the toughest part of a football club, running a football club, it's easy for us standing outside, but the hardest thing is to kill your darlings. And Liverpool, when I grew up, they sold Keegan and got Dalglish. I mean, that is the standard for a football club like Liverpool Football Club, and that is hard. But Jurgen Klopp will always have this attraction. Liverpool will always have that attraction. So when people talking about the usual suspects where Bellingham will go, obviously Liverpool will be in there. And I also watched the press conference of Jurgen Klopp today. Yes, he used some metaphors about Ferraris when you're 5. I never asked for a Ferrari when I was 5, but I understand his metaphor. But I still think that the roulette is open, and let's just take it from me. You will see a lot of different directions before we have the final decision.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Touching on Klopp, I just want to say, do you think he'll be disappointed with how this has panned out? Because I know obviously we can never directly mention interest of the player, but he did skirt around the Bellingham issue today in his press conference. Do you think he's upset with what's happened, or it's not something you're aware of?
I think now I'm not aware of that, but I think it's normal that a manager, when you compete, it's unfair, isn't it? I mean, but always the managers, when you put in Alisson and Van Dijk, then other clubs could say, well, we didn't get them. You spending a lot of money. Manchester United spent an awful lot of money without getting the proper quality and all that. And still, and I've said that before, that I think that sometimes Klopp is a victim of his own success, his success story of developing players. Because if you're a big time owner and you will sit in America and look at your manager and you will say, why don't you just do it again? Why do you want all that money? You do the same thing what you did with Andy Robertson. Is that so hard to do that again? Or Matip coming from Germany, he was seen as an good defender. You made him into a international defender. Why don't you do that again? Of course, that will be frustrating, but I have to say, in Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool got one of the best ambassadors a club can dream about. There is none of his frustration has come out. I guess a emotional man like Jurgen Klopp will have a go at someone inside, of course, but still he has managed to do that. And I mean, if you compare him with other managers, sometimes they're ending up having a go at their own club. He's been there now for 7-8 years. You never heard him say one bad word about the club, about the owners, about people. Quite in contrary, he's been the best ambassador Liverpool can dream of. So I think so. He's very, very loyal.
Yeah, well, that's what we like to hear. And it may be so. Jude Bellingham, we've seen him be followed around by Trent and Henderson at every England camp. Do you think he'll be disappointed with this coming out, or is he, as you said before, he's got plenty of options? He can just look to the next move now.
I think the players, we do tend to forget that these are products. These are football stars who are just living in a bubble of their own. These players will be on WhatsApp groups. When Liverpool kind of in the public, kind of through their journalists, say they're not interesting, the players will be on their WhatsApp group straight away to Jude Bellingham and say, what's happening? Or Jude could do the same. That's what footballers do. And footballers do that all the time. They will have a joke, and then you will have other players. Any chance you will get here now? Then, and I guess the England player will have their own WhatsApp group for the players. I can guess that the last days there's been a lot of symbols and a lot of gifts, or what's it called in English, that's been sent around to each other. So I still think that. On one hand, these big deals will be done. We're talking about 130 million euro. You can imagine you can buy a building society for that kind of money. So there's a lot of things that's been done. But for the players, they are more kids than we think. They are good football players who wants to move on, that's why you should never underestimate the power of the players. The power of the players feel that they have to be a place where they are taken care of.
Okay, well, great. Well, I think that's pretty much all we can cover on Bellingham. If I could just ask you quickly, obviously, we think that Liverpool are now going to have to pursue other targets, obviously, for the many seats that we have available in the midfield, as you said. Are there any names that you've heard that we should be listening out for who could be possibly playing for Liverpool next season?
I think there are, again, I would say the usual suspects. It's so easy just to say all the good midfielders you know about. But Liverpool will be in the market. Liverpool has been showing over years they have a good recruitment department that has been a part of the success. And let's not forget, people are too quick to jump on the other side. And yes, you as Liverpool fans have probably said or heard so many times as 8 months ago we were battling for 4 trophies and blah, 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 blah. But that is the fact. And that is the same team. Yes, the history of football shows us that suddenly football teams get a bit older, they get a bit slower. That happened. That it had happened a bit by Liverpool, but it's happened and it will happen again. So they will be out there now looking for players, and how Klopp and his staff, they will have the candidates. But like I said, and not being a transfer journalist, I can only say to you that you just in God you trust, and in your God will be the Klopp and is the recruitment department.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to trust them. That's fine. Last time you were on, Jan, you told me never ask someone a yes or no question. That was your top tip for being a reporter. So, will Jude Bellingham be at Liverpool next season? Yes or no? Just to finish this off.
You haven't learned anything from that lesson.
For the rest.
I would start muting myself. So now I have no idea, and I think that is the part of the things that maybe makes me a bit reliable, because I will never answer anything that I don't have any sources. If you want to say I'm lying, you have to kill my sources. But still, I would never do a yes or no on that when I don't know.
That's fine. I predicted that answer, but it was worth it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, and yeah, thanks for giving us the lowdown.
Always a pleasure, and all the best in the weekend.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And this has been the Empire of the Cop podcast with Aage Fjørtoft, and a nice insight onto the chances of us signing Bellingham. Thank you very much, and make sure to like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.